She was just perfect. Feisty, funny. She could make like a good situation out of anything bad. She'd always make you laugh as well.
9 months ago, Dan Watt's sister Becky was murdered, her body dismembered. The 16-year-old was suffocated in her Bristol home by their stepbrother Nathan Matthews. He's now serving a life sentence. His girlfriend Shauna Hoare has been jailed for manslaughter. In his first ever interview, Dan Watts told Sky News he believes Matthews is too dangerous to ever be released. What's your reaction to the prison sentences that they got? Life with him, but minimum 33 years, 17 years for Shauna.
Still not enough for him or her.
Do you think he should ever be released from prison?
No.
Why not?
Because it wouldn't be safe for like teenagers or anyone. There'd be 61 when he gets out and they'll still be looking for teenagers because it's gone in the head. Just complete animal.
What for you would mean justice for Becky?
Him dead. Or throw him in a room with like our family and then watch what happens.
The jury took not even 4 hours to come back with their 9 verdicts. And when those verdicts began being read out in court, there was a dramatic reaction. Originally, the family were all sitting in the public gallery, clutching tissues, crying, supporting each other. And then when Nathan Matthews, guilty of murder, came back, there was a yes cheer from the public gallery.
This is a message to the brothers who stayed behind.
This is Riyad Khan, a 20-year-old from Cardiff who once said he wanted to be the first Asian Prime Minister. Now a British jihadist, calling on others to join the fight in Iraq. He's part of a militant group's recruitment video. It's a transformation which has devastated his family. If you could give a message to Riyad yourself now, as a mother, what would you say to him?
Riyad, Abu, please come back home. I'm dying for you. You're my only son. Please come back, Riyad.
This is one of the areas in York which was inundated. You can see people's belongings dumped in this skip. Everything here from kitchen chairs to carpets to quilts. They've lost everything here. The water, they said, just rushed in. And you can see here as well that dehumidifiers have just arrived from the council. And about an hour before that, this was the street that Jeremy Corbyn decided to come down when he visited York to talk to residents. It's a Thursday night gathering and these students want to wind down. Inside the balloons is nitrous oxide, more commonly known as laughing gas or NOS. It comes in these little canisters which are bought for just a few pounds. It's now one of the most commonly used drugs in the world. How do you feel now?
It's like lightheaded. My head feels like fuzzy. You only have. So if you ever used to hit a door when you were little, but it's like poo.
And how long will that last for?
About 30 seconds.
So we've been here for about an hour now. There are canisters littered all over the floor. They started off with 100, and these are the only 3 left.
Hello. Hi there. Hi there.
This is what workers in Port Talbot had been waiting for all week. A chance to really find out what the government and the business secretary are doing to save their jobs.
You'll do everything you can, such as...
You've done it all before. Such as so with the steel industry already in terms of
tariffs on the Chinese dumping.
Tariffs have been a change.
Have we got an industry?
The industry is absolutely vital to the future of the UK industrial sector.
Well, this wasn't the welcoming party the business secretary had expected, but all of these workers have gathered to make it clear he leaves in no doubt their livelihoods depend on this industry. Let's have a look at the map, go through what we do know. So Ferrygate Crescent, we know that he was there, last seen 9 o'clock. His mum went up to see him this morning around 7:15. He'd gone missing. If you look at that area there, the very close vicinity to where he'd gone, you can see it's very residential. So if he'd wandered out on his own, there are probably snickets he could have gone down, gardens, but there aren't too many open spaces in that very close area. Watching this, their fear is impossible to comprehend. The horror of holidaymakers as they run for their lives. Returning home to Swansea, Amanda Roberts and her family know they're the lucky ones. Some of those who fled with them from the beach as the shooting started are now being treated in hospital. Others didn't make it.
Prior to the attack, we were in the sea 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the lady who was in the sea with us was murdered.
Yeah. And she was about 3 rows in front on the left-hand side. So I just feel so lucky and just can't believe it, really.
On first sight, it's hard to identify. Broken and battered, this is part of the jet which crashed down on Saturday. Lashed by the rain, it's a painstaking job for recovery teams. Too slow and vital evidence could be washed away. Too fast and volatile unexploded fuel could ignite. This was the Hawker Hunter just before it came down. The roads were packed as it flew over. Seconds later, devastation. 2 days ago, Paul Heath watched it plough into the A27 from this bridge. Today he returned to pay his respects to the dead.
He did this big loop way up and came down and down, and he just kept coming down.
Pick your gun up and remember the safety tips I've taught you. Keep it pointing at the ground but not touching the ground.
This is 6-year-old Harry's first gun lesson.
All the time you're loading the gun, make sure that the barrels are pointing at the ground.
These aren't live. He won't use real ammunition for a few years yet.
To the barrels.
It's all about practice. Exclusive figures obtained by Sky News from police forces across England and Wales show in the last 5 years the youngest children to get shotgun licences were 8 years old. So this is a shotgun, the type of gun that those 8-year-olds would have got their certificate for. You can see here the stock, the trigger and the chamber, and in the chamber you would put these types of cartridges, and inside they contain shot. And traditionally you'd use this type of gun if you were shooting vermin or clay pigeons or game. And then there's also another group of guns, and they're firearms, and they include things like rifles.